Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thanks again so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Quick look again at Solana. This is fantastic news, folks. It does look like we've broken through a more recent resistance level, but we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves just yet. We may see a pullback as well too, because there's a pretty significant amount of overextension here. We're getting close to the highest point in which Solana could be going on this initial run. Just kind of being straightforward here with you, letting you know that that's roughly the case. While is that exact? No, that's not the only thing that you take a trade on. We want to look at everything really. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to look at some liquidation. And if we look at the charts here too, it seems pretty obvious that there was a lower sweep of this recent liquidity level. Because anytime you see a recent low, there's almost always extra liquidity down just below that. Okay, so a nice little leg down here. That's that. You could even register this as a power of 3, right? Where the price action works itself into a box. We get this lower sweep here, and of course we got our next high here that breaks through the most recent resistance. So this is kind of a standard type of trading pattern. We're going to look at liquidation first, and just before we do, I ask you hit the like button, comment below if you get a chance. Love that. Deeply appreciate you helping grow the channel. Get this in front of more people so they can have a better chance to be a better trader instead of getting destroyed by high leverage and just crazy nonsensical garbage. Okay, what I want to talk about here though is this liquidation. So as you can see here, there's that lower liquidity sweep there of that 160, that low 160 range. There's extra liquidity left because those are new longs that entered the market as soon as that happened. Furthermore, we can also see 172 as that most recent local resistance level. Again, the more recent high. That liquidity just got swept as well. Okay, so what's going to happen here most likely, this is very common occurrence, that more recent resistance should turn into a new support. So again, this was that range-bound activity about 171. We can see that likely to work as a new support level to bounce and leg up pending all the right confirming factors are there. Okay, so again, we don't just arbitrarily and blindly jump in, but there's a good chance that that's going to be a solid starting point. We also got a lot of liquidation here at about 184, upwards of, I forget what the percentage there is, but 184 is about, 7-8% away from the current price action. So what I have on the chart here too, just so you know, this was previous confirming factors. So I posted some of my playout charts on my Twitter, Telegram, Discord. If you're curious about that, check that out. But generally speaking, what I like to post here is a little X that marks the spot. That's what would have happened if the price had broken that range to the upside, which it didn't. Instead, it broke to the range to the downside. We had a bearish backtest here, where the price action legged down once more. Now, granted, Bitcoin pulled its head out of SAS at that point. Altcoins started to surge, and now we are in good shape. Okay. However, all this being said, these are just potential playout charts here. This X, though, is important because that would have given us confirming factors above the cloud. We can kind of see here, that's what should have happened if the price broke up. Now it's a little different, but what we can kind of presume here is putting the X right here. It basically means that we're in pretty good shape to take a long position now, okay? Again, it's a confirming factor. Once more, not a guarantee just yet. Let's look at everything, but those are things I like to look for. This little checklist that I kind of go through. It's like, okay, well, we invalidated the short position or short trade with a nice long here, a bullish engulfing candle so far on the daily. And we don't want to get too crazy with long positions just yet because Bitcoin, again, is looking very strong at high volume, but there is potential for Bitcoin to retrace to 70,000, 69,400, those most recent resistance levels that haven't been retested as a support yet. Okay? A lot of times those will do that. And the example here too, we'll talk about this. We had this most recent resistance, a local resistance at 171, 170.5. That's an area of likelihood for retracement. So it'd be better off to consider a long at that level than to jump in right now and FOMO in. Once more, the price could continue to run. Solana has a very, very strong propensity of doing that. So there's a chance that you may want to kind of get some skin in the game and maybe have a second entry closer to those levels, but that's a conversation that you want to have with yourself based on your risk tolerance. So MACD, MACD-FU here forming, not fully effective yet, but looking pretty strong. A bounce off roughly 50 on the RSI, which is awesome stuff. That lowest level of support around 160. We talked about a good entry between 150 and 160. While I know that's a loose ballpark, generally those who got in at the low 160 range are in high profit right now. Stochastic is trying to swing up, and the money flow index is pulling back. You do got to recognize MFI typically dips on Mondays. You can see it a little bit more prevalent on the 4-hour time frame, but generally speaking, we've been seeing a pullback over the last 7 days. This is a 14-day look back, so to speak, with the money flow index, so it's going to show and reflect that. So money flow index being low right now is perfectly fine. It's nothing super concerning. Same thing here on the 4-hour time frame. Normally it's like, wait a minute, money flow index is low, what's going on? It's because the last 14 candles, we have low volume of the weekends. That's generally how it works. Either way you look at it here, these are not massive volume candles. So the thing you got to recognize is that even though we have broken this descending trend line, We're tentatively above the most recent high. We are not necessarily in a perfect position right now. We could very well see a bullish backtest of this descending trend, the most recent local support range, just as a possibility. Not guaranteeing that, not saying that's a distinct probability because we're over 50 on the RSI. Stochastic is still swinging up. We have a lot of reasons why we're in good shape. The key takeaway here, though, is that we're about 6 4-hour candles in, so a pullback could make sense in the next 24 hours. Okay, so just kind of preparing you mentally for that. There's ebbs and flows, natural things in trading that occur. And to me personally, getting in around the low 170s would be optimal. So 170/166. Okay, again, I'm just throwing out some numbers for the moment. The hourly will tell us a lot more. Let's quickly confirm we're above some key levels here, and we're not. I wouldn't say we're in bad shape, but the 4-hour time frame, we want to be over the 50-day estimate to make sure that we feel very comfortable and confident in taking a position. Not to say you can't take it long into it. It's not a key level resistance. It's just one of those areas that's commonly going to be construed as not bullish until you get above it. All right. So just kind of think about that. You don't have to get super concerned with it, but it is definitely a thing. The key takeaway here, though, to me personally, is being above this most recent high that does establish higher highs. Higher highs is a very, very strong starting point to essentially establishing a continuation of the upside. Because again, we've got 2 out of 3 things here happening so far. First of all, we got our descending trend. We broke above that. That's perfect. That's exactly what we want to do. Breaking the descending trend is a good start. Before we broke the descending trend, we had to establish range-bound activity, which we can see here. Okay? Breaking that range-bound activity is a first step in the right direction to essentially establishing higher highs and higher lows. We've got our higher high. We just need our higher low. There's a strong likelihood of seeing a higher low, but it's just a matter of how low that goes, right? So in most cases, it's going to perform a bullish backtest of the most recent descending trend line and or bounce off a key fib level right here at 0.382. So me personally, I'm going to consider setting a long target, perhaps close to the current price action, the low 170s, and a secondary target perhaps around 166, and a tertiary target right there at about 159 in case there's one last liquidity sweep of the most recent liquidation. Those are little areas that I try to focus on when I take long positions or just in general when I average into my position. If you're not familiar with that, talk to my community about averaging in and out of your position. You'll know that's something I've done for a very long time and it's worked very effectively for me over the years. Again, it's different for everybody. If you're like the all-in, all-out kind of person, that's fine. I generally think that's better with day trading than it is with swing trading, but that's me personally. But what do I know here? So Solana, let's go ahead and double check the Ichimoku cloud. This is going to give us that confirming factor that I talked about earlier. So to me, anything in this range is feasible, okay? Preferably above 0.382. So once more, I'm going to probably focus on a consideration or an entry in the current range that we're at right now with a secondary and or tertiary there with a lower liquidity level. But this is prime situation for a long, okay? Now again, you do got to recognize if you get in now and the price pulls back, don't be surprised because we're at an 8 on TD sequential. Bitcoin has effectively, it's running right now. But if it slows down, coins like this have a propensity of doing so as well. So me personally, I think it's worth waiting a little bit longer, or if you got to get some skin in the game, go ahead and do so. But we're at an 8 on TD sequential. We previously hit an 8 here recently with a solid reset. There's a decent chance we're at least going to consolidate at this area before we leg up again, or possibly pull back a little bit. Again, it's a small percentage, so now or later, still going to be probably a pretty good position. The key takeaway here is that we have a lot of confirming factors that Solana is here to, I wouldn't say it's here to stay, but it's in a much better position than it was recently. And I got a lot of people asking me, why does it keep breaking down? Why does it keep selling off? There's a lot of reasons, because it's a profitable coin. It's one of the more profitable coins out there. So it's going to have massive inflows and outflows. Right now, though, it does appear that there's a lot more price action, a good price action. But the only thing I'm concerned with is that we don't have a massive amount of volume here flowing into this coin. And that could lead to a potential pullback to the more local resistance, which right now at this point is roughly $170.30. And then a secondary support there, roughly the previous range is 165. So those seem like two feasible entry levels for me, okay? Again, decent stuff here, but I would expect a small pullback before the price legs up again. Once more, pay attention to Bitcoin. If it continues to recede, we will see the same thing for Solana. But Bitcoin should not come any lower than its most recent low here, or most recent high rather, at 169.4. That's an area of support. So I think we're in pretty decent shape here. But again, try not to get too ahead of yourselves. This is awesome stuff, but we're almost free and clear. We're just not quite there yet. I hope that makes sense and I described that correctly. Thank you so much again for watching. Join us over on Twitter, Telegram, Discord if you want to kind of follow along with our playout charts. I've got shorts too as well on TikTok and YouTube. Same thing with Twitter as well. So again, just trying to bring you as much relevant information as possible. I've gotten so much wonderful feedback from my community members about things that we need to try to include, and I'm doing that for you as well. So thank you very much. I work hard for you. I appreciate you working hard for me too, and doing your due diligence by using good risk tolerance. Really, that's the important thing. Don't forget to hit the like button. That could also help a lot as well. Have yourself a great rest of the day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.